Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sci-Fi Wise Guys podcast. My name is Anthony.
And my name is Chris
Christopher.
or Christopher,
There it is.
whichever one you prefer.
Yeah, he's not going to answer to either.
Wow, that's an old one.
Yeah, that's a deep cut. I'm in the deep lore today. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the live show. We are almost done with season 4 of Star Trek Lower Decks. The lowest of all the Star Treks, and some would say the highest as well. How have you been, Chris? How's your week been since we last spoke?
It's been fine. I actually spent a great deal of time at the office last week. We hired 2 new people.
Oh, you didn't tell me you were hiring.
Yeah. And
Are you saying yeah, like you did, or yeah, I deliberately didn't tell you, Anthony?
oh,
That what if I'm looking for a job, Christopher? What the heck?
every time I try to get you to work there, you always say no. Anyways, we hired 2 new people, and one of them was much more experienced than the other one. So our mutual friend Kel worked with that individual, and I worked with a more experienced person to kind of get them more acclimated to our way of doing things. They came from a rival MSP, and so I was at the office pretty much all week. Couple things I missed about Code of the Office. Number one, actually going to lunch with other people.
Oh, you can do that without actually going to the office. You can just go to lunch.
Yeah, no, I do. I just can't leave because I don't have a car,
Oh.
and no one's gonna come get me. So,
Okay.
yeah, you called me acquaintance earlier, and you can't make that indignant face now. Either way,
Mm-hmm.
went and got
Mm-hmm.
some catfish. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, nice.
I had a pretty good
You go
week
down to
overall.
that place in the corner.
I did.
Okay.
And other than that, just over the weekend, I mentioned it, I think, a week or 2 ago, playing some Fallout. I downloaded Fallout 4 on my Xbox in the living room. Speaking of Fallout, they released the trailer for the Fallout television show
Oh,
today, April
interesting.
24th, 2024.
Interesting. Is it based on any? Is it its own thing?
I
Like,
believe it is going to be a completely separate, brand new. I'm sorry, not 24th, 26th. It's a Friday. Based on a new Vault 33 in Los
33.
Angeles, and one Walter Doggins.
Like I don't know.
He's been in a bunch of things,
I
uh,
believe you.
and no, he's great. So
That's cool. That's really cool.
yeah,
I That's really cool. Yeah, that's all. That's
yeah,
all I'm gonna say to that. But yeah, I'll definitely be watching that. We'll be reviewing that.
I
I'm
might check it
sure.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I uh, I went to a Greatest Generation podcast live show in which they had a super fan there dressed as God. And
Was it just someone's big head?
he had no he had like he had like a robe and like a big
Uh,
beard and all this and the hair, and he had the lady that was with him uh, had a dress that looked like the Enterprise, and I said like 1701D, like had the color, so it was God in his spaceship, which I thought was extremely clever. It
which
was
is
really
God's need with a starship.
he found it. It doesn't matter. He found it. I actually somebody told me a person that I know that I don't know if you know, so I almost said mutual friend, but this guy I work with mentioned that that line was actually improv by Shatner.
Well, I mean, it's probably his best acting. So
Second best. Uh, I wanted to tell that story, even though I think I already told you some of that anyways offline, because it segues right into what we're watching this week, Chris, which is Star Trek, or what we're reviewing this week, I should say, which is Star Trek Lower
we might
Decks,
watch it too.
season four, episode 8, Caves.
Caves.
What a bounce back, Chris. What
Yeah.
a bounce back. Yeah, I re-listened. I mean, I edited our last our review for episode 7, and I mean, then I re-listened to it, which is not something I usually do. Like I'll listen to, like I get the whole thing. The thing is good, then I put it out there, and I noticed I was like, man, it's a little short. It's a little short. So I re-listened to it, and I feel like I need to maybe apologize to the people, to you, to myself for being a little disingenuous about that episode. I don't think it was. I think I didn't like it. I think that's what it all comes down to. Is I don't think I cared for that episode, and I think it comes across in how I'm reviewing it and how long we're talking about it and all of that. But I don't think I actually said it because I couldn't believe that I just didn't like or didn't. It's not that I hated it. I just didn't care for Lower
Wasn't your
Decks
favorite,
episode.
yeah.
Yeah, it was far from my favorite. And so this week's though, full 180, Christopher. Full 180.
Do you think part of it might have just been because you talked about it. You're just tired of Badgie.
Maybe. I think my criticism where they had three villains who each could have handled a full episode, but they had to parse out their 22-minute
Yeah.
or less than their chunk out of their 22 minutes. Just wasn't good enough. It just wasn't good enough. But I'm glad that they've put them all to rest. Let's talk about caves.
Caves.
Yes, the Lower Deckers go on a classic cave mission. What a fantastic blurb. Maybe the best and most accurate blurb we have gotten in Star Trek review history. It's sitting at an 8.0 out of 10 stars on IMDb. What is how does that compare here? I think that might be one of only two 8.0s for the entire season. Yeah, Tuvik's still sitting high at 8.2, 7.9, 7.5, 7.8, 7.7, 7.9, 7.4. I feel a little validated now. And then 8.0. Fantastic. Fantastic. I have kind of tipped my hand a little bit. So why don't you take the reins, Chris, as it were? What did you think? What were your initial thoughts, opinions, feelings? This is a safe space.
So the last Caves episode of Star Trek that I watched was in fact when Kang and Worf and Jadzia go look for the Sword of Kahless.
Of course.
Great episode.
Up to that point, I would not have described a batleth as a sword, so I felt pretty good about it.
I would describe it as dumb. I am on the record. Batleths are the dumbest fictional weapon I think I've seen in a long time. Irregardlessly, great episode. While I was watching it, I was like, man, these caves, like they just like, where are they? Where are the caves? Like I know it's some sound stage, I know it's a set somewhere, and I get that all caves look the same. But
We're they just clicking through these cave pictures here?
Do they just like paint over the styrofoam? Like,
Oh,
how does it work out? I mean, I just want to know.
I don't know. I assume they're just different angles or they're chunks of styrofoam they can move around. Like they all have to be the same sound studio, like for all of them. And I haven't gone through this episode with a fine-tooth comb. I'm sure someone else will, if they haven't already, and said, "Oh, this is a shot from this episode's cave. Oh, this is a shot from that episode's cave," and just gone through, because that's what they did.
Well, because this is almost a clip show, but it's
the best kind of clip show.
It's much less a clip show, is more of a like flashback episode, and we'll go ahead and spoil them as we go along, but. During Rutherford's event.
Oh, we're gonna skip to his. Okay.
When he's in there with Dr. Ta'an, I'm pretty sure that's the cave with the pillar of water from Next Generation.
Oh yeah.
Remember with Kirk and not Kirk. I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
Picard, Wesley, and random guy who gets crystallized. When they crash their shuttle.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure that's the cave, like with a different entry points and then the
Are you sure
long
it's not
winding staircase.
the cave with like the water with all the trill in it, and then they do the thing? No, I feel like it's a cave on trill, but you know what?
It might
We
be.
can both be right.
What's it called? Like the last mission, I think is what it's
I don't
called.
recall.
Star Trek. Final mission. Um, yeah, it turns out to be mission turns to a nightmare where Picard is seriously injured. Final mission. Let's go ahead and Google that. Um, all in all, I think it was a great episode, a lot of fun. Um, definitely,
Where? Yeah.
lots of
Sorry.
when it comes to each character, we have maligned, I think, a few instances in which characters don't get any real growth. I think it's because we get to see that growth off screen.
Hmm.
And this was a great opportunity for them to actually show it to us. Like, hey, these characters can evolve. You know, we never see it because they're too busy having these crazy hijinks.
Sure.
Boimler learning to accept, um, not everything's perfect, right? Like, not every Starfleet officer is going to be perfect. We're all different kinds of people. Mariner being able to, get along with the Delta Shift, those scumbags.
Kind of, she outgrows her what do you call them?
Prejudice.
Prejudices.
Yeah.
Yeah, from her youth, if you will. Yeah.
So,
And
uh,
Tindy gets to tell a story we already knew, but expand on it a good bit.
so I'm going to send an image to our producer. Hopefully, they can post it. But I'm pretty sure this is that cave. Let me just get it in here. But yeah, no, great
Yes.
episode. I think the 8.0 is probably a little low in my personal opinion.
Sure.
So I thought it
What
was a
did
great deal of fun.
I think the one thing keeping it from being a 10 is
Those guys from the animated
is
series.
yeah. I don't know. The one thing keeping it from being a 10 is I feel like some of the flashbacks, like they are all the most ridiculous thing you can come up with. I don't care for the conspiracy guy. I just don't care for it. I never did really care for him or the idea that there would be like a Starfleet truther in Starfleet. And the Vendorians, it was just a bit much. But then, I mean, I say that, but then it came back around at the end, and I laughed quite a bit. Ha! You have fallen for our morality gambit.
Morality trap.
And they have their tentacles waving in the sky. And even while that's happening, it's clear that they're going to be saved. Boimler's like, no, we're not friends. We're not friends. Trying to back out. Trying to get out of this.
Yeah, the producer's got the images back to back here. If you want to check those out real quick. So I guess the only real difference is this is more a water feature, and the other one's a little pond.
Yeah.
But like just the general layout with the
steps. Somehow
Yeah.
there's steps in the caves. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if when you're an alien race who eventually turn into some weird wraith, of course you would need steps, conveniently placed steps.
Here is a I'm gonna one up, and here is a picture of the Trill Cave. I am also you're not the only one who can send things to the producer.
I
Here's
can't.
a picture of
I'm not.
No,
What?
I can also do it. So
You're
let's
letting
look
this
at the Trill
happen,
Cave.
producer?
Let's do the Trill Cave.
How dare you?
See what that looks like. See, we can expand out. It's not the greatest of
Okay, I can
quality,
see
but
that.
it's definitely like the pool, and then you have the outcropping above it. It's definitely the Trill Cave.
I can see that. Maybe they're the same set.
I mean, that's a distinct possibility that they are the same set. 100%.
Trill Cave.
But they revisit this cave or a version of it in
Discovery. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm looking at.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Trill Cave.
I literally Googled.
DS9.
I didn't Google. I binged it. I binged Trill Cave, Actually, no, I think I did Google it. I don't know. Whatever the search bar does here,
Pathetic.
and that's the first thing that came up. The caves of Makala.
Yeah. Why not both?
Why? Why not both?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
See, like that image, not so much. The first one that you posted, definitely. I think it and the final mission cave probably share some similarities there.
Oh, this is the Discovery one. I
Yeah.
didn't see that pop up. Yeah, well, it's 100% a different set.
For sure.
It's been decades. It's
Literally.
100% a different set
Literally.
for sure. For sure.
So,
Good pictures, good caves, lots of good caves. Love a good cave mish.
like, I think that. What's your favorite cave mission? And hold on,
I don't want to.
hold on.
Okay, okay.
What is your favorite cave mission that's actually a cave? And what is your favorite cave mission in which you are in a cave, but you're not actually in the cave?
I'm not sure I follow on the second one. I'm trying to think of.
Holodecks. And
No, I'm not gonna. I'm not even gonna go into that.
And when Riker may or may not have his mind being influenced by a weird looking alien kid.
That's true. The little alien kid that never shows up again.
Yeah.
Cool
Of
concept.
course.
Yeah. Don't worry, you're with family now. Never see him again.
Yeah.
First orphanage trip they came by, that kid was gone.
Well, it's because he was able to. His parents left him there, right? And
I don't remember.
Yeah. Why would they keep him on the Enterprise? It's not like he's anyone's kid there.
Okay.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
Orphan.
you're right. The Starship Enterprise should never take in orphans. They just don't have the foster system support that they need for all
Exactly.
these children.
Exactly.
My favorite cave mission. It's not. I don't. Is it a cave mission? Is the finale of Deep Space Nine. But knowing that you haven't seen that, I'm going to pivot.
Okay.
I've said that. That's all I'm going to say. You know that there's a cave, but guess what? That wasn't really that far fetched.
Is that
my
when
favorite-
Cisco joins?
That's not quite, but
Okay.
yes. That's not the exact cave moment I'm thinking of. But yeah, yeah.
Fair enough.
There's a lot of cave. The Bajoran caves get visited a lot. Let me tell you something about the Bajoran caves. They're not that unique compared to the rest of the caves of the galaxy. No, I'm gonna go with Captain Picard on Risa in his Indiana Jones adventure.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with.
Good one.
Although the one you brought up, with Picard and young Wesley Crusher, and the guy who gets turned to crystal, that's also a good one. But I'm going to say the Risa adventure because it's a pleasure planet. Still find some caves though.
Okay.
Still find some caves.
I'm gonna go with the Devil in the Dark throwback.
Oh,
Devil in the Dark. Episode 25, season 1 of the original series. Where they fight or they deal with a Horta,
Horta.
which are not the guys from the Dominion, despite their names sounding almost identical.
I mean, they seem to be identical.
But they deal with the rock monster
Yes.
in a series of caves. So,
Man,
yeah.
what fantastic props.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just amazing. I'm gonna try to see if I can pull up some pictures of the Horta and their eggs here.
Devil in the Dark may or may not be my
Oh, man.
band name.
Devil in the dark. Now click the picture of those eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Gotta love that early '60s TV ingenuity. Are those just balloons? They look like they're just balloons piled in a corner, but I feel like they would move too much. I have to have maybe they got sand in them or something. I don't know.
They're almost like a beach ball.
Almost.
Like a beach ball that's been spray painted gold. I was
Yeah,
thinking
maybe.
like basketball or soccer ball, but there aren't any.
There's some
Ridges.
weird. Yeah, there's no ridges. There's some oblong shapes.
Yeah.
They're definitely they got these balls from the local corner market. Leftovers from Christmas 1960.
The Horta was portrayed by stuntman and acrobat Janos Prohaska,
Mm.
who also designed the costume. Prohaska was promised that if he created something good enough, the producers would rent the costume and pay Prohaska to play the part. Episode writer Gene Kuhn was convinced of the costume's effectiveness after an impromptu demonstration by Prohaska in the studio.
Look at that close up. Yeah.
Interestingly enough, this is William Shatner's favorite episode of the series, and his father died during its filming.
Interesting. Well, but good cave. Good cave, Mish. Good cave, Mish.
This episode also marks the first appearance of Dr. McCoy's catchphrase, "I am a doctor, not a blank," in which he says, "I am a doctor, not a bricklayer."
Not a bricklayer. That's good. That's really good. Oh man, definitely. If you're out there listening to this, all of the 24 of you, if you would, let us know what your favorite cave mission is. It's so interesting how often, like, one of Star Trek's conceits, one of the it's in the pitch document. I don't know if you know this, Chris, but I found a copy. It's on the internet. I'm sure you could Google it, but I downloaded it and I've read it more than once. Is the pitch for Star Trek, the original series. And one of the things in the pitch is that we can travel and we can go visit anywhere. We can reuse sets. So if you just had a story or a movie or a television show set in ancient South America and the Aztecs, we could just use that set. It can be an alien culture. It's perfectly fine. And that's something that's like built into the Star Trek DNA is frugalness is what I'm going to say. Yeah. Reusing sets, recoloring things, using sets from other projects and bringing them in.
How many times did we go to San Francisco?
We've built the miniature for this. We've got this going. We can do it. Let's just keep it going.
What is that, producer?
Is
that the remains of the Horta?
Oh, do we have a Horta? I don't want to show a dead Horta. What if they watch? What if they listen to this and the thousands of years it takes for radio signals to reach? I'm beaming this podcast through the sound airwaves off the antenna on my roof.
Well, like their complaints will be the sounds of two rocks grinding against each other. I don't know. What do you want to say?
Fair enough. But with that kind of in the DNA of Star Trek, it makes sense that once we have a cave set, we can keep going to caves. It is a bit comical how often it happens, though.
Well, like that one cave I really like that cave they go to in Next Gen when they're escaping the crystalline entity.
Sure.
And Riker thinks he's about to explore some caves. And his lady friend gets straight up vaporized. I really like that cave set.
It's a good cave set. Oh, you know what? So the producer is pulling up this picture. This is construction yellow construction foam. Just comparing that to the Horta.
I can see that.
Yeah.
That's a good episode. We should watch that episode one day.
We should just pick we can get all the episodes, put them in a jar. Like write them on a little paper, just pull one out, watch it, review it, completely out of order.
All Star Trek?
The original series.
Oh, okay.
You know what? I'm gonna throw in some animated series in there too, just for you, just for you. No, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. We're forgetting they went to a Star Trek cave in a movie. Like a good chunk of Star Trek Insurrection takes place. Like they take the people and they run to the caves and they're in the caves.
I don't remember that part.
I'm fairly certain.
I totally believe you. I've seen Insurrection once because that's how many times that movie needs to be seen. I don't need to see Worf with his Klingon acne.
That was a really good joke. It's a really, really good joke.
I've only all jokes aside, I've only ever seen it once. I think I've started it a couple times, but I've only ever seen it the one time.
Let's see. Yeah, it's actually one of my. I really like it. I'm a Star Trek Insurrection truther. I think it's a good movie.
I think our mutual friend Kel really likes Insurrection.
Oh, I think it's my favorite.
Yeah.
So, regardless. I'm just saying that the Star Trek caves made it to the silver screen, which is not something either of us has ever done. So I'm in
I'm
it.
trying to
I'm
think.
in it.
Like, well, they go to a really big cave in Wrath of Khan.
True.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
It's not really. When I think
they're in
Star
a
Trek caves, though, I don't really think the old. Like I think '90s
yeah.
Trek for sure.
They're also in a cave in undiscovered country. Like
Are they?
there's a whole like 20 minutes when they're on the dilithium mines of
Yeah, but
Urapente.
that's a mine. That's not really a cave, right? Like they get. It's not. A cave is a natural formation.
I guess it's just they're in it. I mean,
Fair
let's
enough.
look at the definition of cave. No.
Please, there actually is one
Uh,
on. If you look up cave on Memory Alpha, the first thing it does is it gives you
a large underground chamber, typically of
oof,
natural origin.
you're gonna get me on that technicality of the word typically, aren't you? Oh man,
It's cave-ish. It's not a cave. It's cave-ish.
it's what you would call cave adjacent.
Ooh, cave adjacent.
Ugh, you're hurting me.
By
I
the
do have
way,
a question
I
about this particular episode.
go ahead.
Rutherford.
He's daddy.
Uh, if he, I'm gonna type up an "Am I the asshole?" post for Rutherford for not telling his friends about him giving birth, but do you think that he was wrong for not sharing it before then?
I
Like he
mean,
shares, like, oh yeah, just like the time that we had our cave baby.
well,
The look on our faces.
yeah, I think that like Boimler's eyebrow is really good. I think that like in the context of Star Trek, I think it makes more sense for him that he probably wouldn't mention it.
Sure.
Maybe because like Dr. Ta'ana told him not to do it, right? Like, because
Maybe
what?
she doesn't want people to know that
Yeah, well,
she's a surrogate mother.
she doesn't want Shax to know
Ah,
that she and Rutherford like had a
ra-
baby.
they raised a baby. I mean, she
Yeah,
wasn't really involved in the making of the baby,
she's pretty attached to it at the end of there.
but yeah, she's a great mother.
Yeah.
But it's
So
not like
I just don't think like once Shax finds out that there's a baby bear, an actual baby bear, like I mean, he's too good of a dude to actually do something to Rutherford. I just think like
I
maybe
think
that
he
like
would completely understand.
yeah, I think Ta'ana just doesn't want anyone else to know that she's even remotely warm. I think
She does have the worst bedside manner
yeah.
of any doctor
So
in Star Trek history.
I think that's just what it is she's the ranking officer. She said, Rutherford, keep your mouth shut. Don't tell anyone about this.
Okay.
Maybe with the exception of the captain.
Well, they brought. I don't. What they do with the kid? I guess they leave it with their people, since
Yeah,
that's how they do. I
I
suppose.
assume. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Speaking of which, the
So
captain.
you're
and
saying
Shax-
not the asshole is what you're trying to say.
No. In the context of Star Trek,
Oh,
it
you
makes
got to give all the
sense.
context, but
In
you're
real
saying,
life, IRL,
yeah, in IRL.
to Mariner, Boimler, and Tindy, he's an asshole.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, but not really an asshole if he was ordered not to say anything about it.
Okay. All right.
But speaking of the captain and Shax, their voice actors did some heavy lifting this episode.
Okay. Good. I didn't look it up. I was going to ask. I was like,
think,
the leader of the Vendorians was the captain, right? Like
Yeah.
that was,
Of course.
good. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Glad they got some work in
Yeah,
on this
I
episode.
feel like Fred Tascatore he does like a voice. He does like 2 or 3 voices in episodes.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's what we'd call talented. One of the most talented people on in the cast.
Yeah,
I was gonna say on the set, then I've remembered they're animated. Ugh. Oh man. So do you have a cave story? We've talked about our favorites, but have you ever been in a cave?
Yeah. So where we live, near it.
Yes.
Let me rephrase that. Within about a 2-hour drive, which is very, it's a long. Anyways, there is a famous cave, a
Yes.
cavern,
Yeah.
I went there once with my dad's parents, probably in the early 90s when they were still getting around pretty well.
Okay.
And we were walking around. I was still in Boy Scouts. I've been to caves in Boy Scouts, but none of them are as funny as this. Um, we sat down to take a rest because my grandparents are
Yeah.
they were in their 60s then. Um, and this lady was telling us about the cavern and all the different formations. And there's a famous, it's
It's like a tour.
the only known instance of a butterfly formation in all of the world. So if you can figure that out, you've already found out where I've been. Um, First of all, some dumbass college kids broke it off and got sued
Yeah.
for millions of dollars. That's
Yes.
interesting. But in this instance, we're sitting there, and my grandfather's looking around, and he goes, "What is that?" And we turn, and on the sheer face, where you can see like the rivet, like how the water and the minerals have created a pattern. Um, my grandfather called it the nude climber. It just looked like a guy with a huge butt climbing this rock face. And I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. Again, I was like 12.
Sure.
Uh,
Sure.
and my mother was embarrassed. My dad couldn't stop laughing. My grandmother was embarrassed. My sisters didn't know what to do. And then the tour lady was like, "I'm not going to call it that." But he was like, "No, you can make it part of the tour, the nude climber."
Oh,
And
that's
ever
good.
since then, it's just been stuck up here.
Have you gone back?
I have been back. I couldn't find it,
Mm.
but I didn't get to. I didn't do the entire cavern.
Oh, because there's like a short tour and then a long
Yeah,
tour.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they had
Okay.
they have certain parts closed off
Sure.
for. I don't want
All
to use
sorts
the
of
word
reasons.
renovation, but uh, but they. I mean, but I couldn't see it. So,
Gotcha.
but I
Gotcha.
did get to see the broken butterfly.
I've seen the butterfly a few times, and I have seen the broken butterfly.
Yeah.
It's pretty messed up, actually. I did not know they got sued for millions. I knew they
Yeah,
got arrested,
yeah,
like because it's vandalism. Um, like if I recall correctly, they stole it and then they were like they took it and then they got caught with it, or they were taking pictures and posting it or sharing it with people or whatever. Like
yeah.
it's some dumb like. Anyways, that's a good cave story, my friend. That's a very good cave story. I don't. I've been to those same caverns. They're fantastic. I don't have any interesting anecdotes out of them, so I'm glad you were able to share. Glad you were able to share. Well, second best episode this season, 100%. Maybe after the Voyager episode. Oh,
I
now
mean, they
I'm
started off
thinking
strong.
they
I
started
mean,
off really strong.
uh, uh, it's a nice day for an Orion wedding. I know that's not the name of the episode, but
Something borrowed,
um,
something green
yeah,
is really good too. Yeah, you're right. Okay, I'm gonna call this a top three for sure. Like it's one of the better episodes this season of a season that for the most part's been really good. Um, I might not be as enthusiastic about all the episodes, but they're all been good. And this one's definitely a highlight. We're getting down to the last two episodes, and you'd already given a prediction that in the penultimate episode we'd have the return of the Starship Thieves,
hmm
and we would start going down that route, which they did not feature in this episode, the penultimate episode, if I know how that word works. And is that Latin? I really don't know. Um,
magic.
yeah, it's all just magic words. The Pope speaks it, and something's supposed to happen. I don't understand it. I'm a plebe. No, so I'm looking forward to that because I am bought into your theory that we're going to get that kind of closing plot through this season. Do you think since we've already given that prediction, and I don't want to I don't want to add on to that prediction. Like I don't want to change it or anything. I'm going to ask for a different prediction. Do you think that all of our upper and lower deckers are going to make it to season 5?
Well, if I if I were- if I'm correct, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like they just announced that Boimler and Beckett would be on another episode of a different Star Trek show.
Okay, I'm not like they're doing it again.
I think so. I think I read that somewhere,
That doesn't feel right, but
which could have
okay.
been just an AI generated thing that the internet did.
Yeah,
Um,
probably. I know. I mean, they were just in Strange New Worlds, and I don't see them doing that again. The way that that was set up.
let's see. Beckett, Lower Decks, crossover.
But even if it's not them two, do you think we're gonna keep? I think that if we think we'll keep all of the lower deckers, at least our main.
Yeah.
Well, our main four. I don't know about our new Vulcan lower decker, but do you think everyone's gonna make it?
Yes.
Okay.
I think, well, maybe so I've been watching a lot of TOS, and one of the episodes is the core and bite maneuver, which is a really interesting episode where Kirk essentially just makes up something and bluffs his way out and deals with Clint Howard as a small child. So I wonder if those aliens that are capturing all the ships, if Provisional Lieutenant T'Lyn is going to go with them, and that's their way of getting rid of her. Is like,
Interesting.
hey, you're off the ship, but you're not going to rejoin the Vulcans because you've moved past that emotionally.
Sure.
And it just that's I have that feeling deep right here.
Okay.
So
Okay. All right. I can see that. I can see that. I'm eager I'm eager for these next few episodes. It's going to be a lot of fun. Um, that's all I got.
you don't have a prediction?
Nope. I don't do predictions because it can't be wrong if you never tell anyone what you think.
Yeah, but
And I think you're actually really good at it. I usually agree with you. So I get to agree with you. And so we celebrate your wins together. And when you're wrong, I get to make fun of you and I get to celebrate. So either way, I win.
I'm not sure if that's how that works.
It's 100%
fair.
how it works.
But fair. So, all right. Do you have an idiot of this episode?
No,
I mean, I'm
not really.
Vindorians for having morality plays, like extremely convoluted morality plays.
No,
like,
that's just their culture, man. I never would call someone's culture idiotic.
look, the only thing I can't stand are people who are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch.
Just a classic. Just
Probably
like,
the funniest line in that entire movie.
somebody wrote that down. Somebody thought of it and laughed about it for a week. Wrote it down. Like wrote it on a wall somewhere. Left. Came back. Started like that's just so. That's got to be one of those times when you just know you've struck gold. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is fantastic. And they're like, okay,
Hey,
how do
Mike.
I write a whole movie so that somebody gets to say this?
Mike, check this out. I wrote this line on a cocktail napkin at Studio 65 or whatever a couple months ago. Check this out. Do you think we can Michael Caine to say it? Yeah, of course I can get Michael Caine to say it. Sir
Yes.
Michael Caine. I've got a brilliant line for you.
Do you think it was always the Dutch? I think it's such an innocuous, like for an American, like that's such a weird.
Well, it's because Goldmember is Dutch.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. All right, sign us out, man.
stay healthy, stay hydrated, and let all of your friends tell their cave stories.
Even if it's an
Even-
artificial cave.
Yeah, I was gonna say, even if it's not a cave.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.